Welcome to this week's episode of Courageous Leaders Changing the World. Super excited for this week's guest, Sarah Ann. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Super excited to be here.
So, name of the podcast is Courageous Leaders Changing the World. What's one time in your life you had to summon more courage than any other time?
I knew you were going to ask that.
That's the one question.
And I know. And I've always been kind of rebellious, right? So I just do stuff. So I'm like, oh, what did I do that was really courageous? But and this might sound really small. The first time I went live on Facebook, so I had a mentor, Richmond Dean, Richmond, and he told me that I needed to go live and share my story. And my story was how I got into sales. I was legally mentally disabled, so I had bipolar, I had borderline personality disorder, I had a lot of mental health issues, and that's how I got good at selling, because I was trying to fix myself. And the more you study psychology, the more you understand yourself, the more you understand yourself, the more you understand other people, the more you understand people, the more you can influence, right? And so that was my story. And that's probably the scariest thing that I ever did, was going online and holding up a camera and sharing that. I'd never publicly told anyone that I had these mental health issues in the past, even though people knew I was legally mentally disabled. I was a nutcracker. So they knew, but I didn't go online and do a post. And there was a lot of stigma, right? I didn't want anyone to think that I was looking for attention, or I didn't want people to think I still had issues. And so all this fear of judgment. And so I did that live because I'm a good student, and I told my story, and I was shaking like crazy. And I was outside, I was on the beach on the Gold Coast, swapped hands to the other side, and it's not getting any better. And I think people just thought that it was really windy. Where I was, I'm like, it's blowing crazy wind out here today, guys. But I went and I did that live, and then afterwards, so many people that I had no idea were watching or would care or haven't reached out to me in such a long time, reached out and thanked me for sharing that and said how much it helped them. And so that was probably the scariest thing that felt courageous to me to really step up and do. And then on the other side of that, it turned out that people really appreciated it.
Yeah, I love that. I remember when I did a post once about, basically sharing, none of my family knew or anything, about when I was like depressed and was thinking about killing myself. So like none of my family knew, and they're finding out from a Facebook post. So I'm like telling the story because I was like, it was, I don't know, Beyond Blue Day or something, one of those days. And I was just like, I probably should start to share about this part. So I did it as a written post, but I was literally like apprehensive about just like having my finger over you have that moment where you're like, send, and you're like, and all of those things were coming up for me. It's just like, are people going to think I'm doing this for attention? Am I doing this from a wounded place? And like, what are people going to say? Are people going to be like, sometimes you post things and you're just like, the last thing that you want is people in the comments is like, here for you and stuff. And it's just like, you kind of feel almost worse. You're just like,
Yeah.
So I totally resonate with that. And although you might think it's small, it's like, that's like normally a huge shift of just opening up for people. And most people don't recognize the power in like just bringing forth that part of themselves that in many instances they've hidden for a long period of time. Like I've hidden my spiritual part for a long period of time. I went through like now I wear a spiritual hat, so it's like it's a bit out there. So it's like the other end of the spectrum. But but I'd like have my spiritual life, and then I'd have my business life, and I'd have all these different things, and it was all separate. And it's really become part of my work to be able to integrate those things, where it's like, right, well, I want my spiritual life to be part of my business life, to be able to intertwine those things, and for people to be able to have that life where it's actually that fully integrated life rather than this separate different parts, because it just becomes disjointed when we do that. So,
and it's like that stuff that brings people into you when you share the things that is on everyone's mind, but they're afraid to say it, not from a wounded place, but from just an honest place. So makes you charismatic, brings people in.
Yeah, and I think that's really important, especially if you're building a brand, because a brand is really just like amplifying who you are. It's allowing people to experience those parts of you. Like, building a brand doesn't mean that you have to show your breakfast every day unless you're going to be going down the influencer pathway or something. But building a brand is very much just showing the unique parts of you. The amount of people that have like followed me and worked with me because I have a dog and because I put my dog on Instagram sometimes when I'm walking him, it's like, it's amazing. And it's like, why would you work with someone just because they have a golden retriever that they love so much?
It's so weird, but people do that. So I asked someone, why did you join my program once? And he goes, because you climb, so you're a badass. I'm like, because I climb. Like you're trusting me to teach you to sell and it's got nothing to do with sales.
Yeah.
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 It's just connection, right?
Yeah. And I think that's important in terms of us to actually bring forth who we are rather than trying to put on this persona of who we should be on social media and who we need to be perfectly out there. I remember I was at an event one day and one of my friends was like, do you still do that like Ninja Warrior stuff? Because I wasn't posting that I was doing it at that time. And they're like, I just want to see all your ninja stuff again. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Yeah, I'll bring that back onto the social media. And there's been so many people that are just like, they interact and engage with you the very first time. I go back, sometimes when someone becomes a client, I go back to all of the engagements, like interactions that we've had on social media beforehand to see what's happened. And it's like, oh, that was their first time they engaged with me when I was just doing some Ninja Warrior training. And then they started to open up that connection. As soon as you've opened up that connection, you started to open up that chat, then it just starts to flow and it actually turns into a client.
Yeah.
And most people are too busy trying to go, I need to be this person on social media. I need to be this person. I need to be perfect. I need to be perfectly polished. I need to be my power pose.
And only my three pillars of types of content can only talk about these three things, right? This is my brand. So true.
Yeah. And I think people are starting to feel that more and more where it's like the polishedness, starts to turn people off.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to be also one of the things with like all of the AI content coming out. Like there's AI influencers and everything at the moment that have built things, but it's just like it is so polished that it becomes almost disconnecting.
Yeah, 100%. Like I have clients, we teach groups, right? And part of that is you go live, and I have clients asking me, can I just skip the live? Can I just upload it pre-recorded? And I'm like, more than ever now, no. Like people are going to want the live content, the raw, the unfiltered, the you, like the right there, not the perfectly scripted, pre-recorded, uploaded, could have been created by AI or whatever, right? Like it's cheaper connection, high conversion, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we just ran a training this week for coaches that are already, doing 6 figures and 7 figures. And one of the things was like most high level people, all they want to do is vibe check you. And you can't vibe check someone on a recorded video. It's like, how do they interact and engage with the energy? How do they actually, when someone comments something, how do they respond? Mm-hmm. People are unendingly vibe checking you. It's like, am I a vibe fit for this person or not? Yeah. Or am I just like, because you can feel that. Like part of branding is like, number one, how does it look? But it's also, how does it feel? How do you feel in that person's presence? How do you feel in that person's energy when they're doing things that aren't necessarily like the thing that they teach? Because you could probably get some of those teachings from other people comparative to like, you could probably go to someone else for Facebook groups than you. So why would they go to you? I'd like to know why people would go to you over someone else.
100%. And it's branding, right? And it's so freeing because people do come to me because I'm me. And the biggest thing that I get told is, well, you just turn up and you're you. And that gives me permission to turn up and be me too, which is really freeing because if we have to turn up and be perfect and polished and we overthink everything, then we have to continue like that behind the scenes with our clients versus if this is what you get on the front end, well, that's what you get on the back end. And you don't need to stay in this overthinking state, right? Like I'm covered in tattoos and so many people have told me to cover the tattoos. And I have so many clients that have told me I was so triggered by your tattoos, Sarah. But I know that I'll never attract someone who's not willing to get over something so minuscule or isn't open-minded enough to grow or to hear what someone has to say without judging immediately. And so I'd rather just have them out there and have it be part of me and the way that I turn up. And then when they come into my program, it's the same. I'm the same person. And that's a big reason why people work with me is they're like, well, you give me permission to just also be me.
Yeah. And I think that, that plays out a lot for us when we run ads. 90% of the comments are, I can't trust someone in a hat. It's hilarious. Really? I'm like, thanks for enhancing my algorithm. I got one this week that was like, I bet he's from Melbourne. And I'm like, Clearly you've got some charge around people from Melbourne, but awesome.
I got a comment like a couple of weeks ago. Someone said, "You sound like a screaming cat." And then someone else said, "Well, that must be a compliment because cats are," and she went on this rant about how cats are so great and majestic. And she goes, "I'm going to sign up." I was like, great, all cats welcome. We're a non-judgy, cat-free space.
Yeah, it's so interesting, right? Like when you just bring forth who you are, that actually just starts to attract other people because you just said it just gives people permission to be able to bring forth themselves.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because so many people, like sometimes get triggered by your tattoos, but they still work with you. It's like there is a certain group of people that get triggered by you, but they're like, all right, well, that's why I need to work with them.
Yeah.
Some people are just like, I just love you. Let's work together.
Yeah.
And for other people, it's like, all right, well, you're triggering me. I'm going to work with you. Either way, it's like this is how we actually just start to bring forth more of ourselves because if we don't, then it's just like we're acting out someone else.
100%. And those are my people, right? Like I don't mind if you get triggered, if turn up and do the work. So many clients have told me like I didn't even realize it was such a thing, but they were really triggered by them. And I get introduced by clients, like a lot of referrals, and I didn't know this until this week. I was at a little mini weekend away with a few of my high-end clients, and they all said, "Yes, Sarah, when we introduce you, we go, okay, she's really good, but she's 30, okay, and she kind of swears and cusses a little bit, okay, and she's covered in tattoos. Just don't look at her exterior." And that's how they introduced me to people. I had no idea.
Yeah. One of my clients, Lewis, he's like, he was introducing me on stage for one of our events one day, and he's like, so I met Cody like 10 years ago and I was triggered on him for about 5 years.
Kept working with him, kept in the space, but for 5 years every time.
Yeah. We met like such a long period of time ago, and then we met in person like 5 years ago, and he's just like, all of these things were playing out. What I recognized by actually working with him was all of the projections that I'd actually put on him because he was awkward as fuck. Like I'm awkward a lot of the time. I like speaking on stage because I can interact with people, but normally in social situations, I'm awkward. And lots of my clients come to me for my awkwardness because they're like, he owns it a lot more than I do. So now I'm going to own my awkwardness.
I can do it. I love that. Yeah. So
one of my other best friends is like, we're going to run an event and it's called Embodied Awkwardness because we're both speakers, but we're also both just awkward as fuck in social situations. We're just like.
That's so good. How'd it go?
We haven't done it yet. We've both just had a child.
Okay.
So he had a child like 2 weeks before we had ours. So we're on the same timeline.
That's nice.
Yeah. So one of the common things that I'm sure you hear all of the time is like, there's a million Facebook groups out there. What do you say to people when they give you that objection about Facebook groups?
No one ever gives me that objection.
Really?
No,
okay.
but there's a million everything out there. There's a million coaches out there. Like you're starting a coaching business today. The coaching industry has blown up. So you can't really, that can't be your objection to any strategy that you're going to do because you're stepping into an industry. There's a million of you. Why choose you? But the group is great for beginners because the deeper the connection, the higher the conversion, right? And so in a group, it's the only platform that you can create an organic funnel with a ton of high quality touch points to nurture someone really quickly without taking them off platform, which means that if you're not taking them to another space, they don't have to download another app, go to another place, do another thing, then you can streamline that process. And you don't need to have a huge audience to make a lot of money. We had a client last year, she did $500,000 sales in 6 months. She has 1,000 people in her group. I don't know any platform that has that kind of ROI on such a small audience. And so maybe that's why we don't get the objection, is because I really bang that drill. I just go hard at that message because it really is just deeper connection, higher conversion.
Yeah, I love that. I'm glad you came back to that as well. That was just one of those points where it's just that's the essence of it.
Yeah.
So, and I really like the other point of, not taking people off platform because, most people, the longer that they're in business, the more complexity they add to something. It's all right, well, I've got my Facebook group and then I take them to this and then I take them to this funnel and then this funnel and then this funnel and then they work with me and then I do this and then I do this and then this and this and this and this and this. And it becomes very complex and friction filled.
Mm-hmm. And I say that a lot, you want to remove friction, in every point of the way, remove as much friction as possible. And this is how we got stuck. I got my business off the ground. I was just doing sales training. And so we got to 6 figures, we got to multiple 6 figures, we got to 300K in a year. And then we were just going up and down for a few years trying to scale. And I was trying to go to another platform, was trying to hire setters, closers, podcasts, Instagram, emails, trying to figure out like, what's this next thing to scale? And I was stuck. And it turned out that the next thing to scale was actually just working the business model and being better at what I was doing. All we had to do was add a high-end offer to what was already currently working and keep that through line, like just one clear through line. And then that took us to $1 million, like straight away. And so like simple scales.
Yeah, I love that. Can you speak more to the through line and the importance of that?
Yeah. Absolutely. Like there's so many coaches that I speak to, they've got like 5 front-end offers, right? And they're so afraid. They're so afraid that if I niche down, Sarah, I'm going to lose out, right? So I have this one person over here and they told me they want this, but I have a man over here, but I work with women. And so should I just make an offer for all of them? And the next thing you know, they got 5 offers. And then they're like, oh, and also like I've got my main offer, but what if someone can't afford it? So I've also got a low ticket offer. And then, but I've been told that I need to have a really high ticket offer too. And they've got like so much stuff. And then because they're like, kind of getting desperate and excited, maybe they make like one high-end offer. So then they start trying to pitch that at the front end. And then they're doing events and one week they pitch one thing, another week they pitch another thing. And it just creates confusion in the marketplace, right? And you never get the opportunity to get good. But if you just have one clear through line, so it's they come to the group, they go to your event, they go to your core offer, and they go to your high-end offer, one clear through line that gives you the opportunity to get good at every step. And then getting good is what gives you the momentum and increases the cash flow, not having 5 different offers at the front end. And so this is, I think, for a lot of people, like their business would explode if they just did that. Like I thought we needed another platform or another this or another that. And we're still working on improving the one through line that we have. We're like, okay, how can we just now get more group members, right? And let's just improve it that way.
Yeah, I think that's, one of the biggest mistakes that most people make is they just keep adding more and more complexity. They just add more and more and more steps rather than actually going through the refinement of the things that they're doing. They're always looking for new rather than actually just refining what's kind of working.
And they get bored.
Yeah.
They get bored and they're like, oh, Sarah, I don't want to do the same. Tony Robbins has been doing UPW for 50,000 years. Like he doesn't turn up on stage and go, hey guys, I'm really bored of doing this. But, like it's like it was the first time again.
Yeah. And I think that's the when people are bored, they're just like lacking creativity. And, most people then try and be creative in their offers rather than creative in like the content that they're creating. It's like they're trying to use their creativity in the offer instead of just going, oh, well, I put my creativity over here. They're yearning to actually create more things, but they're putting it into something which actually makes it worse for the business because it becomes more complex.
Yeah, that they think that having a system means that they can't be creative. Whereas it's actually the opposite. If you have a system, you get to be creative within the system.
Yep.
With the content and the way that you support or deliver to clients or like fulfillment events or like there's plenty of room to be creative within the system.
Yeah. Yeah. And I see that play out, especially for, people go through that swing of using creativity. People who build 7-figure businesses that just get bored of it sometimes. They're like, all right, well, my clients are annoying me, so I'm just going to burn it down and work with some people one-on-one.
Yeah.
And instead of doing that, it's like, well, where do you put your creativity? Do you start working with a couple of one-on-one people so that you can be creative there? Or do you put creativity into a new pillar of your high ticket offer? Where do you put your creativity? And my kind of journey with that is I go through, if I had just one offer, I would probably kill myself. I have 3 things that I do. I do transformation work and I have a season where that's where all my creativity is. And that's not where it is right now because I've built out all of those things. I've built out all the modalities, all the certifications, created all the leaders around that I can do that with my eyes closed. But then my creativity starts to flourish more in business where it's like helping those people in their business. And when we can actually start to create a business where our creativity is actually put into the thing which is actually going to grow the business and sustainably keep growing it rather than grow it and then destroy it and then grow it and then destroy it, it's this evolution process where we actually start to build rolling hills of success rather than just the flat line.
Yes, I love that. And I like that you said season, right? Because a lot of people struggle. They focus on the right thing at the wrong time. And they're either impatient or maybe just don't see it for what it is, but they're they're trying to do all of these things, and it's not the season for that, for where your business is at. It's like, what's the needle moving thing that's going to move me forward right now? And then have the discipline to say no to everything else. Like, there's so many things I want to do, the list is as long as my arm, but the list as long as my arm isn't going to move the needle forward. So it's like, what is the goal and what is the season right now? And that can even be chunked down again to a quarterly or a weekly basis in terms of what are you focusing on. Like, if you have a clear way for how you structure your week, structure your month, structure your marketing flow, your team flow, your systems, then you can also week to week, day to day, shift gears on like, what's the season for today? What's the focus for today? And then switch hats again when it's time to, and then trust that that system and that flow will take you to the momentum that you're looking for.
How does someone learn to be able to learn what to focus on in that instance then?
It's hard, hey? It's really hard. The only answer I can give to that is to have a damn good mentor. To have a good mentor, because I've had a lot of good mentors, I've had a lot of bad mentors. Anytime that I haven't had a mentor, I've not gone anywhere strategically. Like, I think the fastest answer to that is just go find someone who has what you want, because they have the answers, because they've already dabbled around and got stuck. Like, we were stuck for 2 years doing all the wrong things. So now, my clients don't have to be stuck at that spot for 2 years doing the wrong things. Like, I have the answer for you. So I just say, just go pay someone some money.
Yeah, I think that's, really important, because most people, we live in a society where, no one is really taught actually the skill of focusing. We're taught, focusing is sitting down at a desk. It's like, well, it depends. What are you focusing on when you're doing that? And one of the greatest skills that people don't recognize actually adds to your ability to focus is just meditation. It's like you're learning to be able to direct your focus at something and actually stay on the same thing, rather than just shift to all the time. Because you can see all of the science of when it says that basically if you task shift all of the time and you change from one thing to the other, it often takes like 23 minutes to be able to get back into the same energy that you're in if you keep shifting it all the time. And your ability to be able to focus on the thing that you're actually doing, to be able to actually expand that out, and also focus on the strategy. You need the mentor for that, but then also focusing and actually doing the work is like, all right, how do we actually start to deepen that level of focus to be able to stay on track, to actually be present and actually follow all the way through with it? Because there's so many people out there that are, they like to start things, but then it's just like, oh, and then this thing and this thing and this thing. And, we're in a society at the moment where everyone's labeled as, ADHD, and shiny object syndrome is rife. So how do you... What do you feel about like all of those labels in the current society that we're in?
Yeah. Okay, cool. If I was to do an ADHD test, I'm 97% on there, right?
Yeah.
And I just have systems in place that keep me focused. And part of me just wonders, like, I don't like labels. If I see that I'm very black and white. If there is something that I'm doing, a behavior, a belief, or whatever, if it's not serving me, then I'm going to change it. It's as simple as that. Like, I can sit and I can use it and complain about it and go, well, it's hard because of this, it's hard because of that. For a long time, like, I think a lot of ADHD comes back down to like physical health. And so I have this gene defect. So I don't methylate properly. And I know this isn't like a health podcast, so I won't go into like all the technical stuff. It's an MTHFR gene defect. So about 50% of the Western population have this. And it's very simple. You just get an active B12 folate supplement, and all of a sudden I could focus. I didn't get this supplement till I was 25 years old. And so I'd never been able to sit still and just focus until 25 years old. But I never used it as an excuse. I was a top performing sales rep. I was a really good sales trainer. I took people from about to be fired to being top performers. I, even through like mental problems and insomnia and sleep problems, I still turned up and was A++ at what I did. Even having I would have emotional breakdowns on the street. After phone calls, I'd be crying in the back of the office. Like, I was struggling. Yet I had discipline and commitment. And so I never used any of that as an excuse. And so maybe, when people turn up and go, well, it's hard for me because I have ADHD, I'm like, I kind of just want to flip them off and, because like I've been through some hard stuff. And at the end of the day, it always just came down to, well, what do you want more? Because if you go to battle for your limitations, then guess what? You get to keep them. So if you want to keep them, then sit here and keep saying, but this, but that. If you don't want to keep them, then I just look for solutions and answers. And so I am very naturally, I am a bit of a scatterbrain. I'm all over the place. I am forgetful. If I didn't have a partner that came over, cooked me food, fixed things, made sure I had my keys and my shit when I left the house, I'd lock myself out all the time. I'd run out of petrol in the middle of the road somewhere in the desert. Like I'm pretty useless. I'm the friend. We go climbing. Everyone brings spare stuff and snacks for me because they know Sarah's going to be useless and she'd probably rock up to the wrong place and whatever. But in business, no one would ever guess that because I am so systemized, and I put these systems in place because I needed them to be able to stay on track and get stuff done. And so now I seem like the most organized, rigid, probably think I'm a high blue and I'm not, but it's just because, well, I see my weaknesses for what they are. I'm not going to sook about them. I'm just going to put things in place to help me be successful and productive. And in hindsight, well, it was kind of a blessing and a strength because now I have really solid systems, and those systems help other people, and those systems give me freedom, right? And I probably wouldn't have created such structure if I wasn't so loosey-goosey right on the other end of things.
Yeah, I love it. It reminds me of Robert Greene's book, Mastery. He talks about people who have natural strengths for things rarely become the best at that thing in the world. It's like if you struggle with things, it forces you to actually do the reps and actually go through the process to be able to, do what is required to actually become that person. And one of the examples that he gives in that is Albert Einstein. It's like Albert Einstein had the capacity to be able to go and work for his dad as an engineer when he was qualified in that. But he first decides to go, I'm going to go work in the patent office. Because what happens when you go and work in the patent office? You're on the forefront of science and everything that's actually just coming through. So you actually start to learn on what is the most newest science to actually create that, so that you can actually create an entire system of how you see the world, which is right on the forefront of everything, so that you can actually then create this entirely new reality and entirely new systems based on those things. That didn't come from him being natural at science. That came from him going, let's put myself in a situation where I can see all of the limitations that I have, all of the different things playing out, and I can do it regardless of it. Yeah. And that's the difference between people who are actually successful and people who just fall back into justifying where they are based on the labels that someone has given them, that they're really just utilizing as an excuse to be able to actually avoid doing the thing, to be able to bridge the gap.
I love that. It's much like just putting yourself in the rooms that stretch you, that grow you, that make you feel uncomfortable. Like if I'm nervous for something, well, to me, that just means I need to do it. Right? If I feel uncomfortable, if I feel out of place in the room, then I'm in the right room, I'm in the right place.
Yeah. What's an example of that for you recently then? Where have you stretched yourself recently?
Oh, okay. Well, my mentor then, so Richmond in. He has a program. It's a $100,000 USD program. Yeah. And he didn't offer this program to me. He offered it to someone else. And that in Aussie dollars, that's $170,000. Yeah. And my business had just hit $1 million when he said that he was doing this with this other friend of ours. And my parents were on my ass to buy a house. Because that's the thing in Australia, right? Yeah. Get a good job, get good grades, go to college, buy a house, right? Yeah. And so they've been telling me for ages, Sarah, buy a house, buy a house, buy a house. And so that's the whole house deposit, $170,000. And I just knew that I needed to be in those rooms with him. And so like on a call one day, I was like, can I do your thing? He plays a video. It's so embarrassing. so embarrassing. But that was a scary decision to put myself in those rooms and to make that investment, as much as I knew I needed to do it, because all of the social pressure around me was telling me that I should be doing something different. And that I even worked to a point to reach that milestone, and then just to choose to do something that maybe didn't have a clear ROI or didn't seem smart or logical, but I knew that that would put me in the rooms and that would stretch me. And it did. Like we went to an event, and it's so funny, even in the tiniest ways, right? We went to an event together, and because I had invested so much to be at this event, I took way more notes than I've ever taken. I've never taken that many notes at an event, right? And I was so organized about it and everything. So I'm like, damn, I paid $100,000. Like I got to just make the most, right, of all. And I watched how he took notes. I'm like, oh, he takes more notes than me. He's like paying attention, right? And so, that would probably be probably the stretchiest of stretches that I've done.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, it's interesting. I was reflecting on this morning. People at different revenue levels show up in rooms differently. Like I was thinking, I'm going to do some content on it. It's like people who are doing, $10,000 to $20,000 a month show up in a certain way in rooms, and you can kind of tell where people are at based on how they show up. And then you've got people who are doing, $20,000 to $50,000, $50,000 to $100,000, $100,000 plus. They all show up with an entirely different energy. we're running this event this week, and I was reflecting on a couple of there were these two people there that were like literally working the entire time through the event because they're just so focused on which parts are for them, and then they're just like forgetting the rest, delete the rest, delete the rest, delete the rest. And this is one of the things that I recognize with people that grow the fastest is they actually own their power and they can reject all of the things that aren't for them, even if that person is like that thing over there. It's like, this is what is actually for me right now. This is the needle mover for me, and that's what I'm obsessed with. And I'm going to be focusing my entire time, energy, and effort on that thing because that's going to allow me to level up. All of the other things are beautiful opportunities, but they're really just distractions. They're the things that can pull me off. They're the shiny object. They're all of those different things because they know exactly who they are, what they're going to do, and the pathway that they're actually going to take. So they filter through that, which means they just become so direct and focused on that. And I see that playing out all the time, and you can pick it up just based on how people show up in rooms. And you, especially when you've just invested in a higher level, you show up in a room entirely differently. You're like, I'm going to extract my value from it. And that's one of the things also that I see with people when people go into, oh, I've been burned by a coach. It's like, okay, cool. Did you extract value, or were you just like looking for what was valuable? And people who actually continue to succeed, it's like they're extracting value. They pull out the thing that they need rather than what's even in the room. They're like, right, I'm going to ask this question for me, even though it's going to be irrelevant for everyone else. I'm going to ask this for me because this is the thing that's going to make me move to the next level. What do you notice in terms of, people in terms of how they show up in your containers, even people who are on a payment plan versus when people pay up front?
Yeah, 100%. Okay, I love that. Definitely, like you said, I see it even before people join my program, just in the DMs when talking to people. Like, someone's making no money, no offense to where you're at in your business, when they want to get on a coffee chat with you, right? Or they invite you to have a meetup. I'm like, yeah, okay, like I have time to do that with all 7,000 people in this group, don't I? Like that's where my focus and time and energy is. So you can tell by the way that they, the way that they want to network, the way that they connect, the way that they, they don't lead with any value for you. They're just all, their thinking process is all me. And you see that coming into the program. So we're actually quite lucky because we do have a decent like pay in full rate for most of last year. And so I don't notice a massive, like not a massive difference between the pay in fulls and the installments, but I do see the difference just in where they're at in their growth in the business. And a huge amount of it with just being able to manage and regulate emotions is really big, right? And the amount of meaning that people put to things and the weight that they give to the smallest decisions, and then versus someone who is a lot further along and the weight that they put to a decision and how quickly they make a decision, and even the way that they want to be mentored or want to be communicated, they value but the outcome, right? And versus wanting to just have an hour of your time for the sake of having an hour of your time, or wanting you to tell them they're doing a good job. When they're getting started, they want that. They want to be told they're doing a good job, and they want to be handheld, and they value your time more than the outcome. That's how they think that they're getting valued, and then everything is a really big deal. And versus, once they're at a couple 100,000 per year and they're making money, they're typically a lot more relaxed in their nervous system, better at making decisions, and more outcome focused.
Yeah, it reminds me of that meme where it's like $500. Have you seen it? The $500 client one. It's like $500 client gives you this big long paragraph around how they need to have their life changed, and the $50,000 client, the weight that they give to it is money sent. Thanks.
Yeah. No, I see what you mean. Yeah, it's great, and it really is like that. And I see that, the more I level up and the more I invest in things as well, right? Like we're not here for the stories or or everything. Like it's great. We all have a story. We all have stuff going on. We all have challenges. It's like, but I'm here just to get the outcome. So this is I don't want to take up your time. I don't waste your time. Like, I don't get one-on-one coaching in this $100,000 offer. And people are like, oh, you get one-on-one coaching? I'm like, no. Well, what do you get then? I get a lot. Trust me.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? Whatever you add the most weight to, that you add like importance to, and then it just gets heavier and heavier and heavier and heavier. And the heavier it gets, the harder it is to actually move. comparative to, you know, being in that place where it's like, I call it de-importancing things. It's like, if you're making this decision, like life and death, if you don't do this, it's going to, you know, like your life's going to be over. It's like, well, you know, you're creating that result. You're creating that energetic frequency.
Yeah.
So,
And it's never over. Like, and I come back to that a lot. Like I've been bankrupt, or almost. I signed a Part 9, which is one step before bankruptcy. Your credit is done for 7 years and everything. So I've had no money. I've lived paycheck to paycheck. I used to have to walk an hour to work because I don't have $2 for the bus. You know, I would steal food from Woolworths. I didn't have money for food. I was broke, and I've built my business up and then got to the point in business where I was still overextending, overinvesting, and worried like can't pay my phone bill this week or something like that. And still, even then, my thinking process was, well, in 1 month, will it matter? In 2 months, will it matter? And so I've never turned up with this like, I'm not going to get on a call with my mentor and go, oh my God, I have to make it work right now because I can't pay my phone bill next week and I need you to make me a sale tomorrow. It's like, well, it doesn't work like that anyway, and that energy is not going to get me anywhere. And so it's like, bring it back to, well, what is the absolute worst that could happen? I think this is a really good exercise that people can do. Like I ask myself this, what is the absolute worst that could happen? The absolute worst that could happen is I move back with my parents and I rebuild. I'm like, well, it's not the end of the world. I'm not homeless, right? And so as soon as you make friends with the reality, like the absolute worst reality, you make friends with that, then it makes it easier for you just to remove the pressure, because they just put so much pressure on having an outcome and in a certain amount of time. And the reality is that it never happens in the time that you want it to happen, right? It just never does. And even if you're growing fast, it's still like, you're never happy. And so we need to like learn to create a really good relationship with just being on the journey and having, Gary Vee says it really well. He says aggressive patience, right? Like aggressive in taking consistent, fast action, but just ridiculously patient with the results being what you want them to be. And so if we can make friends with the worst case scenario, then it really helps us to just be like, well, let's just be on the journey.
Yeah.
Let's just take the steps.
Yep. Yeah, I love that. You know, make friends with the worst case scenario. I think that's the perfect thing to be able to wrap up on for today. Thanks for joining us. What's the best way for people to be able to find you?
Thank you for having me. If you if you just go to Facebook and you type in $1 Million Groups, it looks like this. It's like a pink Facebook group, so you can join the group. And yeah.
Great. Cool. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.